it started out somewhere over 2 years ago. My wife is an artist, and she needs space to get creative and, kind of do her thing, and also with some alone time. So I started thinking about building a little cottage or something out here in the vineyard for her. One day I was watching one of the old Wild Wild West movies, where the two guys, their office is a train, James West and Artemis Gordon. So I said, that'd really be cool to have a train where as your office and whatever. And it's like, geez, maybe I can get a train for the vineyard. So I started looking for train cars on the internet, and then I found a few websites, and then I ultimately said, you know what, train cars are easy to come by, but nobody really has a caboose. So I started looking for cabooses, and I searched and found actually a company in Wyoming that was listing some rail cars, including a caboose, for sale on this one website. Well, the company that we acquired it through is Wasatch Railroad Contractors, and they're in Wyoming, and they actually do maintenance and repair for railroads. So I contacted them, and we talked, and I guess the rest is history. And one of the issues with acquiring one of these things is that they're not working at the time they're up for sale. So it's a lot of work to take them from, for example, St. Louis to Wyoming, because you got to repair all the brakes, you got to repair all the lines. Okay, you have to make it rail worthy to hook it onto the train and get it there. So being in the business, he had a couple of friends who knew about some cabooses, and one was like 20 miles from his office. So he went out and inspected it, basically said, yeah, we can take this. It's an all steel caboose. It's just going to need a lot of work to make it look good. When I first saw it, it was like the ugliest thing that you've ever seen. It's kind of a gray color, and they had welded over all the windows. It had a decal on it, which was a cow's skull called Badwater Railway. We started out with his Badwater Railway caboose and got it to his facility, and it's been, a year and a half or so since he's got it there working on it to get it repaired, along with all the permits and things that we needed to install it here in Napa. It has the same requirements as building another house. So same permits, same earthquake requirements, electrical requirements, septic, all the same thing. There's a lot of work planning for it.
Yeah, I'm Mark, the project manager with Fontana Construction, and we coordinated some of the activities here of logistics for the caboose installation. Refurbishing was done by Wasatch Railroad Contractors. I actually hired and found the crane and the trucking, and then I was just happened to be the local person to coordinate all of this. What we ended up having to do was the caboose was loaded in Wyoming last Friday. Today is now Thursday, so we've had almost a week in this process for it to make its journey. And it came through 4 states, getting oversized load permits for each state, having a delay along the way due to that, and getting routed onto special routes. Came here in California. We'd sat outside of Sacramento for the last couple of days, and then today made its trip into Napa County. And in Napa, it was oversized, it was over height at 15 foot 6 inches, and the overpasses were 15 feet 4 inches on Route 29, which would have been the preferred route. So we had to take it through the city of Napa on the city streets. It had a police escort with some police motorcycles to take it through traffic lights without having to wait for traffic lights to turn green. And it had a few low-hanging branches that actually got in contact with the caboose as well. There were 2 pilot cars that the truckers had to hire to help with this whole maneuver. The caboose was actually I want to say the 5th truck, maybe the 6th truck that came up. As I pulled up onto 29, there was already a crane waiting there with its 2 support trucks. And the crane itself actually even has a dolly, so there's sort of 2 trucks just to carry the boom of the crane. Dropped the dolly out on 29 and then brought the crane down Inglewood Avenue, what is this, maybe a quarter mile, put it in the neighbor's yard where it operated for the rest of the day until it pulled out at about 1 o'clock, and that's from 7 in the morning. Then its 2 support trucks had to back down Inglewood. There's not enough room to turn these big trucks around here. So there was an operation out in 29 to stop some traffic briefly while the truck backed into Inglewood like you would back into a driveway. And then down Inglewood a quarter mile, and back onto a tricky little spot here onto the property where I had to avoid the vineyard and some of the trees that we didn't cut down. We cut a few things out of the way to make room. Each of those support trucks has counterweights, and it also has pads. So the crane picks its pads and lays those under its outriggers that sit down and support the crane. The crane doesn't sit on its wheels when it does its work, it sits on these outriggers. After those go in, then the counterweights come in, and those are up to 12 tons a piece, and there are 4 of them on 2 separate trucks. The crane picks its own counterweights off the truck and then attaches it to itself, and that's how it makes sure it's going to be stable and won't, tilt over or teeter under the weight of the caboose. Puts all those in place. Each of those 2 trucks has to get out of the way. And the caboose actually had a support truck as well. The caboose came on 1 truck, and that's when I say the caboose, just the body of the car, not its wheels. And that's 35,000 pounds, and made that oversized load, 10 feet 9 inches wide and 15 feet 6 inches high. The support truck came in first. The support truck had the wheels on it. They call them trucks. Railroad industry, I understand. Confirm that with Wasatch. They'll know the terms better. But that came down, had to back down the road as well, the way down to Inglewood. And when we backed that in, the crane picked each of those sets of wheels. So one of the trucks has 4 wheels on it, right, 2 on each side, and sets them on the rail that we had set up earlier in the week and attached to some concrete pads that had to be engineered and some railroad ties around those. Those got set in place, and then that truck got out of the way, and that's when the caboose finally came down the lane. And I'm sure you'll see in these pictures there, we had some folks who have lived in the lane for quite a while, a few older ladies that were happy to see what was going on and happy to watch the whole process. And that's what it took, those various trucks. Then the crane picked, after picking those wheels, it was able to pick the caboose body and set that in place. And that's when the crane started to take itself apart. Again, take its counterweights off of itself and put it onto the trucks for those to haul out, and then take the pads out from under the outriggers. The crane has enough maneuverability that it was able to drive out. It didn't have to back in like the other trucks had to, or back out for that matter. And we did it successfully with, we had disconnects as well. We had to make PG&E and Comcast both surprised us with some timely arrivals this morning to make sure that 2 lines were disconnected that had to be disconnected between the neighbor's house and the pole so that we didn't interfere with power lines or Comcast lines.
So my wife is an artist, and about 5 years ago, she started this Facebook page called Princess Sassy Pants. So my original idea was to, since this was going to be her studio, to put Princess Sassy Pants, the railroad car. Well, the county of Napa wouldn't let me do that because it won't allow you to advertise a business on a residential property. But one of the taglines in her business is, it's been the Princess and the Pup, which was our small Maltese. So they seemed fine with that because it wasn't related to a business, and the crown and the other things that are on there are all from her page, and the colors are colors that she has always used, with maybe the possible exception of the red. Jane has historically not been a big red fan, but lately she started to like red, and it is a caboose. I think she will be surprised, and I just did it because I really love her and I think she'll be happy with it.